He's out of form, out of favor, out the door. But here's what nobody realizes. Even at his worst, Mehdi Taremi remains one of the most dangerous strikers in world football, and the numbers prove it. So why is football sleeping on one of the most intelligent, clutch, and complete forwards in this generation? Few strikers can finish like him. Even fewer can create like him. But you won't see his name in the headlines. No Ballon d'Or shout, no world-class debates. Mehdi Taremi has delivered goals, assists, trophies, and Champions League magic, yet he's still treated like a footnote. This isn't just about one bad season. It's about how modern football forgets too fast, and why ignoring Taremi might be the biggest mistake teams are making right now. So here we are. Mehdi Taremi, 33 years old and basically out the door at Inter Milan. The club's ready to move on. He's ready to move on. And honestly, it's not a shocker. 3 goals all season? For a guy who was tearing up Portugal not too long ago, it feels like he's lost that edge, right? Well, not exactly. See, that's the thing with Taremi. People are quick to forget how he even got here. I mean, if you've only seen him at Inter, you think he's some washed-up striker on his last legs. But if you actually know his story, you'd see a guy who's been climbing uphill his entire career and still delivering when everyone wrote him off. Let's rewind for a second. Taremi didn't burst onto the scene at 19 like Haaland or Mbappe. Nah, he was still grinding it out in Iran while those guys were already on FIFA covers. Born in Bushehr, a coastal city in Iran, football was literally in his blood. His dad played, his brother played, and young Mehdi was just that kid who couldn't stop kicking a ball around. By his mid-20s, while most strikers his age were cashing big checks in Europe, Taremi was still at Persepolis, scoring goals for fun but barely getting noticed outside Asia. Then came a stint in Qatar. Good money, sure, but not exactly where scouts are flocking. People thought that was it. Enjoy the retirement league, they said. But Taremi, different. At 27 years old, when most strikers are already hitting their peak, he took a leap and moved to Portugal's Rio Ave. And man, it was like all those years of grinding finally exploded. First start, hat-trick. Next week, wins 3 penalties against Sporting CP like he's trolling defenders for fun. By the end of that season, 18 league goals, joint top scorer. Suddenly, the too late for Europe guy was outscoring players half the world hyped up. And just like that, Porto came calling. And trust me, what happened next is why I still say nobody realizes how deadly this man really is. When Taremi joined Porto in 2020, some people shrugged. Okay, cool, another late bloomer, let's see if he survives the pressure. And honestly, he didn't just survive, he thrived. Porto is no joke. Big club, crazy expectations, fans who eat you alive if you miss sitters. But Taremi? First season in, he's banging 23 goals and 18 assists across all competitions. That's not just good, that's insane efficiency. And let's not forget the Champions League nights. This is where he properly introduced himself to the rest of Europe. Juventus round of 16. Who scores within 2 minutes? Taremi. First Iranian to ever do it in the UCL knockouts. Then Porto met Chelsea in the quarterfinal. Down 2-0 on aggregate. Stoppage time. And boom. Overhead kick, clean as you like. One of those did he just do that moments? UEFA even called it goal of the season. That strike didn't just get him awards, it put him in that elite bracket of forwards who can pop up out of nowhere and embarrass you. Suddenly, pundits are comparing him to Edin Dzeko, tall, clinical, brilliant with link-up play. Defenders couldn't read him. He was lightning fast, but timing? Man, his timing was perfect. And it wasn't a one-season wonder either. Season 2, 20 goals, 13 assists. Porto won the league and Taremi looked like he's been doing this at the top level his whole life. By his 3rd season, he's crowned Premier Liga top scorer with 22 goals, lifting another cup and making the team of the year again. What made him deadly wasn't just his finishing, it was that he created as much as he scored. You don't see many strikers who can drop deep, hold up play, thread a through ball, and then still pop up to finish the move. He was Porto's battering ram and their locksmith all at once. And here's the kicker. During this run, Taremi was averaging a goal or assist every 85 minutes. He even scored 4 goals in a single game against Famalicão. 4. Like he was playing FIFA in beginner mode. And that's the thing about Taremi. Even when the numbers dipped and the headlines went quiet, the skill set that made him deadly never disappeared. You can't just erase football IQ, world-class finishing, and vision overnight. If anything, his time at Inter makes you ask a bigger question. What exactly makes Mehdi Taremi so different from every other striker out there? Here's the thing about Mehdi Taremi. If you're only judging him by his goal tally at Inter, you're completely missing the point. Because Taremi isn't just a striker. He's the kind of forward who solves problems on the pitch. You know those players who always seem to be in the right place at the right time? Like they've read the game 3 seconds ahead of everyone else? That's Taremi. His movement is on another level. He has this ability to slip off defenders unnoticed, lurking on the shoulder before darting into space they didn't even know existed. It's not flashy, it's not theatrical, but it's devastatingly effective. And it's not just about where he pops up. It's what he does once he's there. At Porto, he didn't just rack up goals. He practically ran their attack. 80 goals and 49 assists in 4 seasons tells you everything you need to know. He was finishing chances, yes, but he was also creating them. He dropped deep to link play, hold off defenders like it was nothing, and thread passes so sharp they'd split defensive lines in half. He was the kind of forward who made everyone around him better without ever needing to scream for attention. And then there's his unpredictability. Remember that outrageous bicycle kick against Chelsea in the Champions League? That wasn't a one-off hit and hope. That was pure instinct combined with outrageous confidence. The kind of thing you only try if you know you've got it in your locker. Taremi's game has always had that edge of audacity. He doesn't just do what's expected. He does what you don't see coming. His physical presence adds to it all. Standing at 6'2", he's a nightmare to mark in the air, bullying center backs who are supposed to be specialists at exactly that. But just when you think he's going to play like a traditional target man, he drops into midfield, links up play, and slips a teammate through on goal. He's always shifting between roles, which makes him impossible to pin down. And that's what makes him such a headache for defenders. He can hurt you in so many ways, poaching inside the box, floating into half spaces, or even pulling wide to whip in a cross. It's why, even when his goal numbers dip, managers still trust him, because he brings more than just finishing. He presses, he wins duels, he connects the dots. The problem is, most fans don't see that. They look at the goals, or lack of them, and decide he's either hot or cold. But ask the defenders who've played against him, and they'll tell you, he's relentless. He never gives you a minute off. He's there, lurking, probing, waiting for one mistake. And 9 times out of 10, he punishes it. Yet, for all of that, Taremi still doesn't get the respect he deserves. And it's not because of his ability, it's because of everything around it. Timing, perception, and circumstances have all played their part. Because the truth is, as good as he's been, his entire career has had one big thing holding him back. If it feels like Mehdi Taremi has gone quiet at Inter, you're not wrong. For a striker who used to light up Portugal, it's weird seeing him stuck in the shadows. But here's the thing, it's not just bad form, it's way deeper than that. Since joining Inter in the summer of 2024, things haven't clicked at all. He's played 34 matches, scored only 3 goals in total, and just one of those came in Serie A, a penalty against Lecce back in January 2025. For someone who bagged goals for fun at Porto, that's a huge drop-off. But it's not like Taremi just forgot how to play football. He's been carrying a brutal groin injury called pubalgia, and it's wrecked him this season. He even admitted it himself in an interview with Sky Sports Italia, saying, "I've had physical problems. I played with painkillers. I know fans expected more, but when you're in pain, it's hard to play well." And honestly, you could see it. He wasn't pressing like before. He wasn't darting behind defenders or pulling off those clever runs. Playing like a striker with a nagging groin injury is like trying to race with a flat tire. It doesn't matter how good your engine is, you're not going anywhere fast. And you know what's crazy? If you're still watching at this point, you're probably part of the small club of people who still believe in this guy. So do yourself a favor. Hit that like button right now so we can make it official. Because if you're this locked in, you clearly know there's more to Taremi than the memes and lazy washed up at 33 takes. Now, back to it. Because injuries weren't the only thing. His competition at Inter didn't help either. Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram were always going to be the starters, even while dealing with knocks themselves. And then, just to add to the chaos, Taremi couldn't travel to the Club World Cup due to restrictions tied to the conflict in Iran. No rhythm, no continuity, no chance to get fully settled. But here's the part everyone keeps sleeping on. Even in this mess, he still turned up big for Iran. He scored twice against Uzbekistan in the World Cup qualifiers to book their 2026 spot. And it wasn't just tap-ins, it was pure Taremi, clinical and ice-cold when it mattered. So yeah, his Inter stint might be fizzling out, and a summer exit looks nailed on. But if this is Taremi at his lowest, hurt, underplayed, and out of rhythm, what happens when he finally lands somewhere that suits him? Because that's the real question. Are we about to see one last big Taremi explosion? Or will football keep sleeping on one of the deadliest strikers of the last 5 years? Right now, Mehdi Taremi's chapter at Inter Milan is wrapping up. The club is ready to move on, and at 33, Taremi knows his next move has to be perfect. One day, he's scoring iconic bicycle kicks in the Champions League, and the next, he's the guy pundits wonder whether he's past it. But despite the struggles, clubs are already sniffing around. Fulham, West Ham, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, and Besiktas in Turkey have all been linked with interest in him. Don't rule out a return to Porto either. In Portugal, he was untouchable. 4 straight seasons leading the line, pacing the league, and the fans still adore him. Another Turkish adventure could also suit. serious fan base, European football, and a style that values his strength in tight spaces. This is the type of player who thrives when trusted, not in terms of flashy social media presence, but on the field. Strikers like Giroud and Dzeko have shown you can age deliberately. You don't fade, you adapt. Taremi's movement, game intelligence, and composure means he's engineered for that kind of footballing longevity. So here's the real question. If you were in his shoes, where would you go next? Back to Porto for the fairy tale return? A new challenge in Turkey? Or another crack at the Premier League with a team that needs his kind of savvy finishers? Because here's the truth. When he's in shape, in form, and playing for a team built around him, Mehdi Taremi isn't just a veteran name. He's a nightmare waiting to happen again. If you're still watching, you already know. Mehdi Taremi isn't just underrated, he's misunderstood. Now here's the question. Where should he go next? Back to Porto? A Premier League gamble? Or a new proving ground in Turkey? Drop your take in the comments. We want to hear it. And while you're here, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started with these deep dives. If you thought Taremi was overlooked, wait till you see what we've got coming next.